Good evening. Please stand for the prayer, followed by the pledge.
Father God, in the mighty name of Jesus, we want to come to you right now to say thank you, God. Thank you for everything that you have done in our lives. Thank you for everything that you are currently doing in our lives. And thank you for everything that you are going to do in the future. We know that you are highly lifted up and you are mighty in your power, and there are no other words to describe you, but you are simply awesome. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Welcome to the May 1st, 2019 School Board Special Session. Public comment. The Sunshine Law requires that the school board meet and perform its duties in public. This meeting in public is an opportunity for the board to discuss and make decisions around its slated agenda. Citizens have the right to observe the meeting and hear all comments made by board members. School board meetings, however, are not a meeting of the public, an opportunity for the public to comment during meetings. On behalf of my fellow school board members, at this time I would like to invite and encourage members of the audience to sign up regarding district issues. Please begin by stating your name. You will be limited to 3 minutes. This is your 3 minutes. The clock will not be stopped until your 3 minutes are completed. We will not be acting on the issue tonight unless it's part of the agenda. If you have a question, we will refer you to the proper person. Jalen Sanders.
Hello. My name is Jalen Sanders. If you do not know me, I'm a senior at the high school. I'm kind of one of the people in my class that, activates any, is an advocate for everything that we do and, try to go to our administration about whatever needs that we have. Our current problem at our school is that our graduation is going to be held in the gym. And I know that this is not the first time that someone has came up here and presented their case to you guys about the issue that we're having at our school. It's kind of a brawl on social media, not only for students, but also for parents and for, relatives that needs to attend a graduation. The problem is that we would like our graduation to be held the traditional way on the football field. And our administration has decided that as in our understanding, our administration has decided that they want to have our graduation in the gym, and that is not what us as students want. And I think that it is thoughtful to, understand that our thoughts and what we would like as a class, and we would like our football field in the gym. I mean, in the front, in the field, on the field. I'm sorry, on the field, the traditional way that we've always had it. I think that a lot of mostly what we did last year was having the gym because it may rain. And to my understanding, that even if it does not rain, we will have it in the gym. And our principal has decided that, she doesn't really care about our thoughts, and she doesn't care about what we think as a class and what we would like to do. I personally have a lot of more family than 10 tickets. Me personally, I have a lot of more family than 10 tickets. I personally have 5 sisters. I have 3 grandmothers, and I have a lot of other hosts of uncles and aunties and cousins that are contributed to my life. It truly takes a village to raise a child, and I am a product of that. And I don't think that 10 people is enough to accommodate my graduation. We also have a petition. We have a petition. My classmates have gotten a petition. We currently have 122 signatures. We have 132 people in our class, and I assure you that we can get those 10 people to sign this petition if you need to. But we would like our graduation on the field. And I think that it is courteous to have what us as a class want instead of our principal's thoughts and her opinion. I don't think that she's really taking consideration about what we would like to have. So anything else? Thank you.
Thank you.
Chair.
Thank you. Thank you. Items for individual consideration. 2.1, contract for financial services. Mr. Stallnaker.
Madam Chairman, on behalf of the school district, we were asked to reach out to surrounding districts to see if we could find a partner, finance officer that would be willing to partner with us and help get us through the transition process as we filled a vacancy with Mr. Copeland. Unfortunately, right now at this time, none of the districts were willing to provide that support. So I went down and spoke to Mr. Barnes at North Florida Community College, and just to pick his brain to see if he knew of any potential CPAs who might be interested to provide support or even willing to apply. But during that conversation, Andy mentioned that he would be willing to do most anything he could to help the district out. Obviously, my first thoughts were I was elated because I was excited about the job he did with the district before. So I asked Andy, I said, obviously for you to support us, we'd have to compensate you somehow one way or another because the servant is certainly worthy of his hire. So the first step he needed to do was reach out to Mr. Grosskopf, the president of the college, just to see if there would be any conflict of interest or any conflicts there. And John has graciously agreed to allow Andy to partner with us and contract with us. So Andy had sent a draft contract to me and as well as you and Mr. Reeves. And Mr. Reeves had made a couple minor edits to it. But the contract will start, initially it has May 1st. Technically, yeah, he can do a little bit today. But it will run through September 25th. And it also states that any party may terminate the contract for any reason with a 10-day notice. On behalf of the district, it also talks about the salary. The salary is $75 per hour, the minimum of, or approximately 20 hours per week for that duration. With the oversight that we need for our district and finances, I highly recommend the board approve this contract.
Is there a motion to approve
Madam Chair, it is my privilege to make the motion that we enter into a contract with Mr. Barnes for our financial services.
Okay, we have a motion by Ms. Williamson, second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Reggie to approve the contract for financial services with Mr. Andrew Barnes. Any discussion or questions? By a show of hands, all in favor? Oppose? Becky, 5-0. Welcome aboard. 2.2, request to fill vacancy. Mr. Stallnaker.
Madam Chairman, also during this transition, Mr. Barnes and I spoke about possible ways to handle these issues and move forward. But obviously, looking at his contract, there's an end date, and he does have a full-time job. So respectfully, I do request permission to advertise this vacancy with the caveat that we don't post a vacancy at this certain moment, at this time. After speaking with Mr. Barnes today, his suggestion and let me try to explain, as we work through this process, when we're trying to get the year-end reports and the year-end budgets and everything finalized and ready for next year, is not really the best time to train a new CFO. So after speaking with him, yes, we would like to ask permission to fill it, but not fill it now, but wait until end of August, 1st of September timeframe, where most of the budgetary requirements that he's having to work through will be completed. And that way he'll be more available to spend time and help train the new CFO. From October to December, January timeframe, finance is usually kicking on all cylinders, and that time period would be a good time to train somebody. And out of due respect for his suggestion, I do ask that we are allowed to fill it, but I not post this until August.
Any
I agree with
comments?
that.
I agree with
The
that.
other thing is, we'll be getting a new superintendent, and the finance officer works so closely with the superintendent. It's not going to be that long before we get an appointment that they should have some input into who the next who the finance officer will be. So I think we should wait a bit on that too.
Okay, do we have a motion to fill the vacancy, but not fill it until August?
I make the motion to fill the vacancy.
We have a motion by Mr. Alford, second.
Second.
Second by Ms. Soretta. Any questions or discussion? By a show of hands, all in favor? Oppose? 5-0, Becky. 2.3, Distance Learning Grant, legal opinion, Mr. Stallnaker.
Madam Chairman, on behalf of the school district, Lisa Roderick is applying for a distant learning grant. Unfortunately, her daughter is graduating, so she's at her daughter's graduation. But part of the grant with this legal opinion here basically states that, yes, this is a school district. The school board does have the ability to enter into contractual agreements. And this is just a mere technicality that she needs to get signed and approved so she can complete the grant and get it completed and submitted in.
Is there a motion to approve the distance learning grant?
I make the motion to approve the distance learning grant.
We have a motion by Mr. Alford, second.
Second.
Second by Ms. Williamson to approve the distance learning grant. Any discussion or questions? By a show of hands, all in favor? Oppose? 5-0, Becky. 2.4, emergency rule for appointment of interim superintendent. Mr. Reeves, I'd like you to speak on that first, please.
First off, I had prepared a legal memoranda. I'm sorry. I had prepared a legal memoranda that's part of the packet and was posted online. The issue, excuse me, the issue is that with Ms. Pickles resigning, her resignation was effective yesterday. So as we sit here today, we don't have anyone filling the office of superintendent. The governor, and everybody agrees that the governor is the person that appoints the person to fill that position until the end of the term. The superintendent's term ends in November 2020. So you've got about, 19 months or so left in this term. So the question comes in as to what do you do in the gap between the last day of the superintendent's, but until when her resignation is effective and until the governor appoints somebody. One of the things that brought this to my attention and why I talked to the chair about it was we have some experience with this when when the supervisor election was removed, the governor also would appoint to fill that position. And I looked this back up today to be sure I was right on my dates. When the supervisor election was removed November 1, the governor didn't appoint anyone until December 8. So there was a good 30 days there. And most people don't know this, but during that time, we had an election that was coming January 31, the presidential preference primary. And we were on weekly telephone calls with the Secretary of State, and he was calling the governor's office, really pushing them, trying to get someone appointed. So even under those circumstances, it took 30 days. And I'm not saying the governor did anything wrong. I mean, it may just take that amount of time. But there is a danger that there may be some amount of time here where you don't have a superintendent. Now, I've called other attorneys, and I called the general counsel with the Department of Education, Mr. Mears, bounced ideas off of them. Talked to Mr. Dietzen, got his ideas. The only thing that I could figure, because we do not have anything to address this, when we looked at our policies included a provision that said if the superintendent is suspended, that the board can appoint someone in that gap between when the governor appoints somebody and after the suspension. And so my recommendation to you all would be to amend that policy to not only apply to suspensions, but also apply to resignations and vacancies. And that's the point of the memoranda that I gave you. And the memoranda also has attached to it a proposed permanent policy change and a proposed emergency policy change. And my recommendation is that you instruct staff to go ahead and advertise for the permanent policy change, and that today you go ahead and enact the emergency policy change, which you're allowed to do. Now, one of the things I did today was again, I was trying to make sure that everybody's on the same page. We're not stepping on anybody's toes at the governor's office. I went ahead and sent him, his general counsel, a email and a copy of that legal opinion. And the point of that was, I said I wanted to, and you've got a copy of the email here, that I wanted to make sure everybody was on the same page and that they, if they had a different opinion, please let me know. I got an email back this afternoon at 3:46 from Mr. Nicholas Primrose, and a copy of that's there, and I think we've got copies for the public if they would like it. And it'll start on the second sentence, and this is from the Deputy General Counsel with the Governor. We understand there's a need for a temporary interim superintendent. After reviewing your memo to the chair and speaking with you, we are in agreement that if the school district adopts an emergency rule to allow for a temporary interim superintendent, that would be in the best interest of the school district as far as carrying out the day-to-day statutory duties and requirements of a superintendent. As long as the school district's rule contemplates that a vacancy still exists for the governor to make the permanent appointment, there's no conflict with the governor's constitutional role. So, and I'm not reading all of it, that's just a snippet. And then, of course, he gives the name of the director of appointments and says if anyone's interested, here's where you can get a copy of the appointment packet and all that kind of stuff. So the point of that, I do feel better about that now, because now we've got confirmation from the governor's office that that is what they want us to do, is to go ahead and enact an emergency rule. Now, the rule, but again, to be clear, all it's talking about is that gap between the effective date of the resignation and when the governor appoints somebody. We don't have any authority to affect the governor appointing somebody. That's the governor, and that doesn't have anything to do with us. But especially in a school district, you've got to have someone that can exercise the duties of the superintendent. You really can't have a district for any amount of time without someone doing that. So again, my advice is to enact or to instruct staff to advertise the permanent change and to enact the emergency policy. Now, once you do that, then the board would designate someone to fill that role. You can do that tonight if you want to, whatever process you want to do, you can do that. I don't really have any advice to you on how to fill that or who to fill it or anything else. That's not my place. That's a policy decision, and y'all do that. But my advice is that I do believe you need to enact the emergency rule that says the board's going to appoint somebody for that gap period, and then and then you need to appoint somebody.
All right, the policy change is not on our agenda tonight. That's the only thing I have with that.
Well, yeah, it is. The 2.4 emergency rule, and it says rule,
But
the rule and
you
policy.
meant the policy, okay, all right.
When you look at the,
So that's the same as the policy?
it's the same as the
Okay.
policy. And for
Okay.
some reason, there's a quirk with school districts. We call rules policies, and other agencies
Okay.
call them rules.
All right,
But that's the
learned something
emergency
new
rule.
there. Okay.
Yeah, for the appointment of the interim superintendent. So
okay,
that's what I would request y'all do. And then as far as the actual appointment, you can do that. You can pick somebody tonight. You can,
okay.
you got another meeting coming up Monday. However y'all want to handle it. That's a policy decision for the board.
Thank you, Mr. Reeves. Is there a motion to approve the emergency rule/policy for appointment of an interim superintendent?
I make the motion to approve the emergency rule.
All right, we have a motion by Mr. Alfred, second.
Second.
Second by Ms. Williamson to approve the emergency rule/policy appointment of interim superintendent. Any discussion or questions? By a show of hands, all in favor? Oppose? 4-1. All right,
And Madam Chair, my recommendation was to go ahead and advertise for the permanent one too. So is that included in the motion to advertise for the permanent?
Yes, sir.
change?
yes, okay.
All right, and so now, Madam Chair, if you want to designate someone now, you can do that, or y'all can decide how you want to.
All right.
Well,
Is-
Madam
ahead.
Chair, I make the motion to assign the temporary duties of the superintendent until the governor appoints someone to Ms. Shirley Joseph.
All right, we have a motion by Ms. Williamson to assign the temporary duties of the superintendent to Ms. Shirley Joseph. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a second by Mr. Alfred to approve Ms. Shirley Joseph as a temporary superintendent. Any discussion or questions?
I have a question. I mean,
Ms. Bell?
my question is, well, we need time to talk about this.
Well,
I mean, I'm just saying, why can't we do it at the workshop, discuss who could be placed in that position?
Well, we decided we would do this tonight. That was our plan, to do this tonight.
To pick who was gonna be placed in the position?
That's one of the reasons why we met tonight. Go ahead, though. We're at the discussion phase. So, we're gonna allow you plenty of time to discuss or ask questions.
You know, I'm just saying that, but this is I just know that I feel like that we should work on this on Monday. You know, we can talk about this at the workshop and discuss it.
Go ahead. No, this is our reason for coming here tonight, one of our reasons, to discuss, ask questions. And this is a very temporary position.
But I'm saying that why didn't we get a list on who would probably be selected when, Mr. Reed sent out the information on?
The what now? Say that again.
You know what I'm saying? Why, I didn't have a list or names, just like, Dr. Pickles said, put a list out. Why didn't we get a list on who that might be?
I don't know if there's
Selected.
such a thing as a list available.
So
It's just-
tonight we just pick somebody
Right.
and the names came out the blue?
It's basically one of our school employees, an administrator.
But I'm just saying, did the name just come out the blue?
Well, Ms. Williamson made the motion. I'm sure that Ms. Williamson knows Mrs. Joseph. She's been here for 37 years.
Okay,
You know, she's someone that's been with our district. It's not an unknown person.
okay.
Any other discussion or questions?
Mr. Reeves, do you have any idea of when possibly the governor will fill or no?
When I talked to Mr. Primrose, he said, and I was very gratified to hear this, he said that they were working diligently on the appointment process. I have no doubt they are. Like I said, I sent him an email, and 2 hours later, I was getting a call from a deputy general counsel.
But don't y'all think it should be somebody from the district that might be picked?
Someone from the district?
Yeah.
Well, Mrs.
That's
Joseph.
in the day-to-day, but she's been at the Greenville.
Well,
this year.
she right now, she's the principal at Greenville, but she's been in the district for, well, I know 37 years she's been in the district.
Is she,
Excuse me. Go ahead, Mr.
I was just going to
Did you-
ask
Mr. Daniels?
if she was interested in the position.
Yeah, how would how would you know if she was interested in the position?
Well, I haven't discussed it with her, but I'm sure after we appoint her, she'll say yay or nay, to that. If she refuses, then we'll have to go look further.
Ms. Williamson
Yeah.
made the motion. Have you
Yes.
And
called her?
I have a motion and Bart seconded it.
Okay. Any further discussion or questions? By a show of hands, all in favor? Oppose? Becky, 3-2.
If I
All right.
Madam Chair, when I talked to Mr. Primrose, he said that they were working diligently on it. And as I said, I have no doubt that they are. They are still accepting applications, and that's why I sent me the email with the application attached and where that should go in. So I think that's the message is if someone's interested, please tell them to go ahead and do an application. and
If
send
they're
it.
interested, that's right, fill out the application, right. Board items, Ms. Williamson,
I don't have any.
Ms. Bell,
No.
Mr. Alford,
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
Mr. Daniels.
No, ma'am.
I just wanted to say that I've reached out to the Superintendent's Association, making contact with Senator Mumford's assistant, Angie Freeland. I explained to her that we're looking for a competent leader, and the board is ready to work with the person. Mr. Mumford has been very busy with the legislative session, which I think it'll be finished this Saturday. I also reached out to the president of the Florida School Board Association, Andrea Messina. She has done some research as well. At this point, there's no time frame has been given for a new superintendent selection. That's it. All right, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
We have a motion by Ms. Williamson, second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Daniels. Meeting is adjourned.